Alrighty, good morning, my friends. It is Friday, October 11th, 2024. I was not here yesterday to do our broadcast, so I apologize about that. But let's go ahead and jump into the review for the last 2 days now, since I wasn't here to look at Wednesdays and Thursdays price action. So let's jump back to Wednesday, and I'm really happy on Wednesday morning. We went through everything, and I pointed out that we actually had one new piece of information, and that was that we had some really nice potential bullish signals on the daily time frame from the low from the day before. So it looked like there were some clues that the market was going to try to push higher and potentially push to new all-time highs, if not just come up and test that area. And so that's exactly what happened. And we saw coming into the open how they were stepping up our roadmap levels. They had just come up off of this 57.82 area in the overnight session. We're back up above VWAP, and sure enough, as you can see, a nice straight line higher to new all-time highs on Wednesday. So let's take a look here. Out of the open, the market pulled back quite literally right off of the VWAP there. So you had a great opportunity. There was a beautiful bullish divergence as it was bouncing off the VWAP there. And so you had a trade. If you went ahead and took that, you had a trade with 2 or 3 ticks of risk that you could have rode from 57.95 all the way to 58.40. So do the math. Pretty good opportunity there with, again, nearly zero risk, right? Now, if you missed the bounce off VWAP, you had the opportunity on this first pullback, and notice where the market pulled back, right in front of that next roadmap level, and came right to the 200 moving average and the close of the day before. There was another major glaring divergence when that happened, so you had another beautiful opportunity to go ahead and buy that with no risk, quite literally zero risk, and you could have got that 30, 40 point pop. From there, as you can see, it was a very aggressive push, and price never really pulled back much past the fast moving average. That's why I teach that in a strong directional market, the fast moving average is your best friend. You could have bought nearly every pullback to the fast moving average on the way up, and you would have made some money to the upside. Remember, the main thing we left with on Wednesday morning is that our only new clue was that the bullish divergence from the daily could lead to an attempt to push higher. Could, right? We never know what's truly going to happen, and we have to be prepared for when what we think is going to happen is not going to happen, right? And we do that with our levels and everything else. So beautiful opportunities all morning to go ahead and buy the market. Now, once we broke out through the all-time high, which was just right here at 58.30 quarter or something, right in front of that level right there, it started to kind of peter out, right? And that's typically what we see. We get those peaks up through major swing highs, and then kind of a little bit of a hiccup once that happens, right? So if you look at what happened here, once we broke out to new all-time highs, fortunately, nothing super sexy in there. It was just kind of a sideways market until they petered up just a little bit higher and closed at the end of the day. So once we got to the all-time high, market got a little bit messy there. If you tried to pull back to the 200, only got to the fast-moving average. Again, once again, one of these situations where if you did try the 200, if you saw the rejection right off the fast-moving average, should have been a clue, right? Maybe not smart trade to stay in. But other than that, again, nothing notable once we got to that all-time high. They did pull back and basically hold the roadmap level there, but they did duck through it pretty deep and then came back up. And then finally, we got the push to the newer all-time high at the end of the day there, and then the pullback from there. So like I said, the end of the day, maybe not quite as sexy, but you had all the perfect opportunities right when we're here, right when that gate is open for the New York Open there, to go ahead and try VWAP, try the 200, try the pullbacks to the fast moving average, try the pullback to the roadmap level, try the pullback to the roadmap level here, and you would have been in the market making good money with, again, nearly zero risk. So that concludes Wednesday. That brings us here into Thursday, yesterday's market, where, what do you know, we get to a new all-time high in the market, and then they just sit here and chop around for a little while. So that's basically what happened on Thursday. As you can see in the overnight market there, just kind of choppy. And then we have the news drop there pre-market that caused this little spike up and down, and then began to pull back. And then here is Thursday's market. And like I said, it was very sideways and choppy. And if we zoom out and look at the entire day, if I can fit it all on the screen here, you can see that it didn't really do much, right? It came down, it came up, it came down, it came up, didn't go anywhere. However, if you just take a quick look at the charts, where are the most notable rotations on the chart? Okay, out of the open, it holds the back end of the 200, comes down and bounces right off of our roadmap level down here, comes all the way back up, pulls back, bounces off that area, which if you notice here, inside of all the chop, that roadmap level at 21 was still very relevant here for a lot of rotations, although it was a little bit more messy, but pulls back, holds it, comes right to the holy orange power level. Pulls back from there, essentially holds the roadmap area, comes back up, pulls back to the VWAP, tries to break out back to the all-time high, doesn't make it, comes back, what do you know? They try to hold VWAP, doesn't happen, come back right to that roadmap level and rotates off the holy orange power level again with a bunch of bearish divergence. Then comes down towards the end of the day, holds the 50% area again, maybe not perfectly to the tick in this instance, but then comes back up, and then we rotate right in front of the hopeful for a third time that day. So even though it was a sideways chop fest, you still had areas in the chart that we used to trade that gave you very limited risk, and they were the largest rotations, intraday rotations on the S&P futures market. So still kind of blows me away that even during these choppy sideways markets, we typically have the areas in the chart where we're going to find the most notable rotations of the day. That brings us here into the overnight session, where we're just continuing to chop quite literally right inside of the mess from yesterday, which really doesn't make things easy at all. And as you can see, it pulled back last night through the VWAP, tried to hold it, popped out, but then failed, came down through. There is a tag of the 200, although not after the crossover. Here is the first tag after the crossover. Bam, 1 or 2 ticks of risk. You could have rode that puppy down for 5-10 points there. And then again, I'm not trying to make it out like it was a beautiful, perfect market last night, but you did have that opportunity after the crossover. This is something I teach. And then you had that tag of the VWAP in the 50% level here in the overnight session to pull back here and bounce almost to the tick off of the holy orange power level. And then once again here later on in the morning, and you can see the pullback right off the previous daily close. So still, these rotations are still happening almost perfectly off these areas, but it's sideways and it's choppy. So you're going to get pushes through, you're going to get pullbacks through some of these areas. And then you can see here just before the open, here we are about to bounce right off the hopeful once again. That's now pretty much 3 tests here where you could have got in with really limited risk, and we're now pulling back off of the 200. So that is the review for the last 2 days. Again, very, very choppy market, but Wednesday was the kicker there, where we were expecting a push, or there were clues for a good clues for the push, and then you had all these great opportunities to make your money on Wednesday if Thursday was not so hot for you. So that concludes our review. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames and see what they have to say for this morning.